Welcome to Empowered Health. This week we have an amazing lineup of specialists with information to help you empower your health.
That's right, Michelle. We're going to be talking about low-fat and diet food. Do they really help you lose weight?
Well, that's the multi-billion-dollar per year question. Right now we're going to hear the amazing story of Janet Wood.
I was told in the very beginning that 50% of the people that have MS will end up in a wheelchair. And I decided right then and there that was not going to be me.
That was 20 years ago, and true to her word, here she is hiking her stairs. And she does it at least 3 times a week.
Up and down, 204 steps up, 204 steps down. 1 lap is up and down. I have troubles walking a straight line, but I can do these stairs because there's handrails, they're safe, there's even steps, and it's a consistent depth each time. So,
multiple sclerosis is an inflammatory disease that affects the ability of the nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord to communicate effectively. Symptoms include loss of sensitivity, muscle weakness, and difficulties with coordination and balance. And this is why, for Janet, being active is extremely important when it comes to living with MS.
I think just the fact that we're constantly keeping it loose, like any type of movement, even if it's just stretching or just rotating your wrists or rotating your ankles, you're constantly keeping things awake there going, hey, I'm still here, don't forget about me.
Janet also follows a vegan diet to cut down on inflammation, and she continues to explore new treatments. Treatments like acupuncture and the consumption of antioxidants. She says she's not fixated on a cure for MS, rather, she's working towards a quality of life goal. To that end, Janet's positive attitude is also an important asset.
And also I have a huge faith. I believe whether I'm healed this side of heaven or when I get there, doesn't really matter.
Janet has not had a flare-up since 2007, when she lost the use of her right leg for some time. But today she has a very specific goal in mind.
My goal is to do the grouse grind again. So if these stairs help me on the grouse grind, and even if I never get to the grouse grind, that's my goal. I'll do the grouse grind. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how. I don't know if I'll need help. I'll get to do the grouse grind.
Coming up on Empowered Health.
When the low-fat orthodoxy swept North America in the 70s and 80s, I just ignored it. Partly because it didn't taste very good, and partly because the anti-fat zealots were having a hard time proving that low-fat diets made anyone, anywhere, any healthier. You won't find any low-fat foods at my house, unless we're talking about the carrots. When the low-fat orthodoxy swept North America in the 70s and 80s, I just ignored it. Partly because it didn't taste very good, and partly because the anti-fat zealots were having a hard time proving that low-fat diets made anyone, anywhere, any healthier. On the other hand, there's pretty good evidence to suggest that low-fat snack foods, cookies, not carrots, actually encourage people to overeat and gain weight. There's a large and growing body of evidence that suggests you're far better off eating fat than being fat. There's a big difference. And no, eating fat does not necessarily make you fat. Consuming more calories than you burn makes you fat. What does science really say about low-fat diets? A massive 8-year study of 50,000 women in the United States found that a low-fat diet offered no protection from heart attack, stroke, breast cancer, or colon cancer. And just last year, another huge study of 25,000 people by researchers at the University of Cambridge found that adding healthy fats like olive oil to your diet reduced the risk of heart problems, while simply cutting so-called unhealthy fats was far less effective. Balance is key here. Fats are much too complex to explain in this little segment, but the basics are not. Your body needs a balance of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates to run well. The fat portion of your diet should include a few essential fatty acids that your body needs but can't produce. You've probably heard of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Both affect the heart and the brain, but in a good way. You can get omega-3s from fish and omega-6s from nuts and vegetable oils. You can get both from grass-fed beef and bison, and you'll get both from olive oil. Even our old friend butter, sidelined for so many years by margarine, is a complex blend of different fatty acids. some of which actually help your body to regulate the amount of fat in your blood after eating. So loosen up a bit. A life without butter may not make you live any longer, but it will almost certainly feel that way. Studies that link fats and fatty diets to a bad health outcome, for instance, death, often just mask the truth. That is, if you eat a lot of fat and meat, chances are you're probably overweight and possibly sedentary. Science is not divided on the effects of obesity and a sedentary life. Your risk of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, cancer, and nearly every other disease is elevated by obesity. Now, cutting fat is a pretty convenient way to reduce calories and lose weight, just like those low-carb diets. Both approaches are radical and could even be dangerous. Keep some healthy fats on the menu. Substitute them for some of the animal fats in your diet, reduce your calories with smaller portions, and burn a few calories walking. Ask your doctor. I'd be surprised if she said any different. I'm Randy Shore for Empowered Health.
Your back affects your daily health. Welcome to another installment of Your Spine, Your Health.
Because you have a spine, it's important to understand what chiropractic care means to your health. Your health always starts with a regulatory college. In this case, the College of Chiropractors of BC serves to ensure you receive appropriate diagnosis and care from a qualified chiropractic doctor today and tomorrow. That's also why BC's chiropractors fund research and education. Today, I want to introduce you to Dr. John Zerbley, who's conducting important research on how core muscles affect balance.
In this particular study, we were looking at the effects of abdominal contraction, core stability on balance and posture. So this was the primary focus, and we're looking at expanding this concept into potentially therapeutic applications. To really take this to the therapeutic level, what we need to understand is basic mechanism. So we need to take it down and break these problems down into their fundamental concepts.
Understanding the mechanism will give chiropractic doctors deeper insight into movements, helping them recommend specific exercises for a precise amount of time, along with specific muscles to target under various circumstances.
I mean, the core is very important, obviously, to spinal health. And again, a lot of the literature right now is showing that core strength improves not only biomechanical function, but also stability, balance. And as we get older, balance is affected more and more. So in this particular case, what we're looking at is very specific muscles. We're really trying to narrow it down to very specific muscles in the core and how they individually impact balance. It gives me much greater insight into some of the observations that we are making. And again, it's one brick in the wall. This is one study that will give us some deeper insight. But again, every good study will raise more questions. And I'm sure we will have many questions to answer after this study. But again, it's providing us more insight and knowledge so that we can actually take it out to and provide this information to the individual so that they can take their health in their own hands, if you will.
As you can see, it's not just about what we can do for you today. We're working to build a better tomorrow through better healthcare outcomes for you. The College of Chiropractors of BC sets the standards for safety, outcomes, and your informed consent.
Hey guys, this is Simple Fitness Tips. My name is Simona Marian and this is Jamison Ulf. Today we are going to show you how to perform and progress the split squat.
So let's start with your feet about hip width apart. Good. I'm going to place a stick right here, and this is going to help you balance a little bit as you progress and you get better at it. Good. So your back foot is going to be on the toes. Correct. And you're going to come down with that back knee about an inch off the ground. Make sure your core is engaged and your chest is up. That looks great. And we're going to make sure this knee is just a tad further back. Great. You're going to stand nice and tall for me while exhaling, and you're going to slowly come back down for a count of 2 until the knee is about an inch off the ground. Great. And do that again. Awesome. When you're ready to increase the intensity on this, you can move on to Bulgarian split squats and then other lunge variations such as forward and reverse lunges. Great job, Simona.
After the break.
There's a very strong link between the nutrition or the nutrients we absorb and how healthy our eyes are.
You're watching Empowered Health. One thing we don't think about when it comes to getting a good night's sleep is pillows. They can make as much difference as choosing the right bed.
We'll talk to Farooq Manji of the Sleep Shop about what to keep in mind when it comes to pillows. Then we'll get some more eye-opening information from the people at Iris.
I'm joined now by Farooq Manji, the expert on virtually everything that we need to know, beds and pillows, and how to get the right kind of equipment so that we get that proper night's sleep. Today we want to talk about pillows. What kind of material is best in a pillow?
That's a great question. There are so many different pillows out there, and you can get pillows that are made with synthetic fiber, with latex, with memory foam, down and feather. There's so many different ones. So it really depends on the type of sleeping position that you're in, will dictate the kind of pillow that's best for you.
Is there a right pillow as far as the type of material is concerned from your perspective?
Generally, we find a lot of the latex pillows, for example, will have a variety of different firmness levels to them. So you can get a softer pillow, a medium to firm pillow, or a very firm pillow. And those kind of pillows can be used for any type of sleeper.
So if I sleep on my back, do I want a larger pillow than if I'm a front sleeper?
Yeah, that's a good question. So a back sleeper, typically you want something that's not too high, yet not too low. A front sleeper, you definitely want something that's a little more flatter. And a side sleeping pillow is generally the ones that are a little bit higher and a little bit firmer.
But there are memory foam pillows as well. Do they offer particular advantages?
Yes, they do. They will take the pressure points off your ears. They will conform to your neck and your shoulder. They will alleviate those pressure points in those areas. And they mold to your head. So if you turn one way or turn the other way, it will just continually support you.
So equally as important as the bed itself is the pillow.
Absolutely.
Fabulous information. Thanks.
There's a very strong link between the nutrition or the nutrients we absorb and how healthy our eyes are. Actually, lots of nutrients are key to our functioning, the functions of our eyes. You need certain pigments to make the visual signal function better. You need some omega-3s for the same reason. The nutrients are actually part of the chemical reactions in the eyes.
So let's get right to it. What are the nutrients we need to keep our eyes healthy? And what foods can we get those nutrients from?
Eggs contain lutein. Although they don't contain a large amount of lutein, the lutein that's in them gets transported really well to the eye because of the fat in the eggs. Kiwi contains vitamin E, vitamin C, actually more vitamin C than you would imagine from that little fruit. We looked at the contents of many nutrients, including vitamin C, lutein, zeaxanthin, zinc, vitamin E, and what we found is that there was significantly more vitamin C in orange peppers and even in the other colors of peppers than in the citrus fruit.
Let's talk protein. Did you know that omega-3 fatty acids found in cold water fish can help prevent cataracts, macular degeneration, and dry eye disease? Lean meats are recommended. However, there is not a ton of research that suggests avoiding red meat completely is the way to go because it does contain zinc. But here's something else to keep in mind.
Diets that are high in saturated fats can be detrimental for cardiovascular health. We've researched the link between various health problems with eye health. We noticed that cardiovascular health and eye health have a lot of similarities. So avoiding lots of saturated fats is a good idea.
A lot of the foods you want to avoid for your eye health make sense from a general health perspective as well. But there's a little bit more to it than that.
Studies have shown that diets that are high in foods that have a high glycemic index, such as refined flours, sugar, etc., can cause damage in terms of cataracts and macular degeneration.
So when it comes to eating for your eyes, remember to include whole grains, beta-carotene, and antioxidants with the essential vitamins and minerals. But as for that old myth about carrots helping your eyesight,
No foods are going to prevent you from needing to wear glasses. Let's make that very clear. You're not going to see more lines of letters necessarily at the eye doctors, but those pigments, as well as they protect, they also filter the light.
coming up on Empowered Health.
We are making a nutrient-packed carrot date banana muffin.
I like that.
This cooking and nutrition portion brought to you by Save-On Foods.
It's time to learn another great recipe right here on Empowered Health, and I've got registered holistic nutritionist Julia Olton with me in the kitchen. Julia, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And today we've got a lot of interesting ingredients right here. What are we making?
We are making a nutrient-packed carrot date banana muffin.
I like that.
So first of all, we assemble all of the dry ingredients in one bowl, and then we do all the wet ingredients in another bowl.
Okay.
So you can mash the bananas.
So we got 3 bananas
We've
here.
got 3 bananas in here, and we just want them nicely mashed so that they'll move through the batter when
Okay,
we're
I'll
ready
get
to put
started
it
on
together.
that.
Yeah. And so we're going to start. The flour that we're using in this recipe is almond flour. Essentially, that's just ground almonds, but as you can imagine, it's 100% natural, and there's no any kind of additives in those almonds. Cinnamon is really good for people who have high blood pressure and any kind of blood sugar challenges.
It's got a lot of good medicinal values.
Medicinal values to it. It's very, very good. And this is just a little bit of baking soda. And then we just put a little bit of salt in here.
Perfect.
But I'm just going to break the eggs because we're going to add the eggs to the bananas when we're done. So 3 nice extra large eggs, nice yellow yolks in them, and we just beat them up a bit. So I'm going to just put our eggs in there too.
Okay, and then I keep on doing what I was
stirring.
doing?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I've lost my spatula, but I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of honey in here. So we're putting some butter in here that's been lightly warmed in the oven, in the microwave. So we just want to mix that all
Just
in
soften
together.
it up a bit, yeah.
So we just pour that in here. And then we stir this all up together and
To make the proper batter.
to make the batter. So the carrots and the dates and the walnuts all come in now.
Okay.
You'll see this volume grow. Hopefully we've got a big enough bowl. 3/4 cup of walnuts.
You could use other nuts as well.
You could use other nuts.
Exactly.
You could use other fruits, period. The only thing I would
Right.
stick with would be the carrots. So that looks good to me.
Yeah.
So you just want to fill the muffin cups up to the rim. If you make them too full, they're going to be huge and they're going to be too much because these really are a very rich muffin,
Right.
as you can see.
And also another quick thing that I do want to mention is that we did grease the
Yes.
tray. Yes.
Yeah, we did.
With a little bit of butter so that when the muffins are done, they don't stick to the bottom.
Yeah.
Right.
We have set the oven at 325 and we're going to cook these for about between 40 and 45 minutes. They don't rise a
Okay.
huge amount, but they will rise
A little bit?
somewhat.
Okay.
Somewhat. So I think these are probably good.
So Julia, the muffins have been in the oven. Now they're ready.
They are ready.
Ready to be tried?
Ready to be tested.
Okay. And gluten-free again, right?
Gluten-free, made with fabulous nutrient-dense ingredients.
These are really good. Like I can taste the bananas, the carrots, the crunch of the carrots.
Yes.
Really nice. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for being on the show, Julia.
Thank you.
And thank you for teaching us this recipe.
Thank you very much.
Registered dietitian Melissa LeBlanc's on the show today to tell us how we can achieve a healthier balance with our diets and also to interpret the 80-20 concept for us. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vijay.
So as a dietitian, what does the 80-20 concept mean for you?
Well, it means that 80% of the time you're eating well, and then 20% of the time leaves room to enjoy those foods that aren't necessarily part of Canada's food guide.
That's a great concept then.
It is a good concept, and it's one that I promote often because healthy eating is not about restricting unhealthy foods altogether. It's about having a balance and making nutritious choices more often, and sometimes including sweet treats like baked goods.
Well, that's actually also the more sustainable way to eat healthier. If you're eating a baked product which is low on fat, does that also mean it's low on calories?
Well, not necessarily, and sometimes low-fat baked goods have more sugar in them. So you have to ask questions, read labels. So if you're buying baked goods that are pre-made, it's important to be informed.
Okay. Melissa, any tips on cutting down on fats, oils, and sugar when we're baking at home?
Absolutely, and baking at home is a great way to cut back on those calories and control what you're putting into your baking. So I have 3 tips for you today to make baked goods at home a little healthier.
Okay, so what's the first one?
So the first one is when a recipe calls for sugar, cut the amount in half. A lot of times it doesn't have an impact on your finished product. Second one is with the butter and oil. Again, cut it in half and use the other half. Try applesauce or another pureed fruit.
And what's number 3?
And number 3 is try substituting half of your flour with whole grain or whole wheat flour. And to boost the fiber, add some wheat germ or some ground flaxseed to your baked good.
Okay, so I get that, Melissa. Now we've taken care of the sugar content, the amount of fat in the baked product. What about portion size?
Yeah, and that's a great point. So portion sizes are getting bigger, I've noticed. So if you're going to enjoy a sweet treat, have it in a smaller quantity, share it with someone, and just eat it slowly to enjoy it fully.
Well, Melissa, thank you for being on the show and showing us a way to enjoy sweet stuff in small quantities.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
Well, that's all for this episode of Empowered Health. I, for one, as usual, learned a ton. I'm certainly going to think twice about cutting fat out of my diet now.
Well, that's a good idea, Michelle. A lot of great, useful information, as always, and there's a lot more where that came from. That's why you should join us next time on Empowered Health.
Bye for now.